The morning stretches on as the alien diplomat's daughter drifts through the embassy halls like a fading echo. Her movements quiet and slow, as if each step must be negotiated with the invisible force that drains her strength. Day after day she pauses, near the grand entrance where sunlight spills through tall crystalline windows, casting fractured patterns across the polished floor, and those shifting shards of light remind her of the way her own glow used to dance along her skin when she was younger, carefree, and unburdened by the strange ache that has now become her constant companion. The diplomat's aides stand nearby, reviewing schedules and debating political strategies, yet each of them still glances her way from time to time, unable to ignore the growing fragility in her posture and the distant look in her eyes, the kind of look carried by someone struggling with a pain too deep to name. Though they are trained to remain composed, they cannot hide the quiet fear that something within the embassy is slipping out of their control, for if the diplomat's daughter continues to weaken, it will cast a shadow over every negotiation and alliance, and rumor will spread quickly among both human and alien officials. The girl senses their worry, even though they speak in soft tones meant to shield her from their concerns, and she tries to straighten her back and walk with confidence, but the heaviness in her limbs returns like a tide, pulling her downward. So she sits on a cushioned bench in the hallway and tries to catch her breath. Her father appears at the far end of the corridor, his elegant robes trailing behind him as he moves with practiced authority, yet his eyes soften with quiet sorrow as he approaches her, for he has spent countless nights searching through data streams, ancient medic texts, and cross-species research, hoping for even the smallest clue that could explain her suffering. He kneels beside her and places a gentle hand on her shoulder, a gesture that once filled her with comfort, but now only makes her feel guilty for becoming what she believes to be a burden to him, and she forces a faint smile, believing it will ease his worry, even though she knows he can see the truth behind her expression. He speaks to her in a low, steady voice, offering reassurance and promising that answers will come soon, but she senses the strain hidden beneath his calm tone, for he has made this promise many times before, and the uncertainty grows heavier each passing day. When he stands again, he watches her carefully, as if afraid to look away and miss the moment she might collapse, and the girl feels a hollow twist in her chest, because she knows her father carries the weight of not only his people, but now also the fear of losing her. She rises slowly, determined not to fall in front of him, and as she does, she feels once more that strange tug at the roots of her glowing hair, a sensation she cannot explain yet cannot ignore, a silent signal that something hidden waits just beneath the surface, growing stronger with every passing hour. The diplomat begins his day with practiced calm, but beneath his composed exterior a storm brews as he watches his daughter move through the embassy with the slow drifting steps of someone losing a battle no one can name. He sits in his private office surrounded by holographic displays, projecting reports, medical scans, and diplomatic messages, yet his eyes wander again and again to a small live feed of the hallway where his daughter rests on a bench, her glow dim and uneven, like a lantern fighting against the wind. He tries to force his mind toward the responsibilities of the day, toward the negotiations with human leaders and interspecies delegates, but every thought is pulled back to the weakening rhythm of his daughter's steps and the memory of how full of energy she once was, before the ache began to hollow her from within. As aides enter to brief him, he nods with mechanical precision, but his attention remains divided and his gaze flickers toward the doorway as if expecting to hear her voice or her footsteps. Though he knows she will not come to him unless she has no strength left to stand at midday, he walks through the embassy, hoping movement will clear his thoughts, yet each corridor he passes seems colder than before, as if the very building reacts to the weight of his fear, and the silence that lingers around each corner grows heavier with every step he pauses near the observation balcony, where he finds her leaning against the railing, her hands trembling ever so slightly, and he feels a sharp twist in his chest, for he realizes she is trying to hide her worsening condition from him. She senses his presence and straightens her posture, forcing brightness into her dimming glow, and offering a small, tired smile that breaks his heart because it carries the shape of bravery, without the strength to support it in that moment. The diplomat understands that time is slipping too quickly, and that the answer to her suffering must be found soon, or he will lose not only his daughter, but also the last light that anchors his world. Human doctors arrive in the embassy corridors, carrying sleek devices and glowing scanners, their uniforms crisp and their faces solemn, yet hopeful, as if they believe science can solve even the most ancient mysteries. They guide the girl into a room filled with unfamiliar lights and humming instruments that cast ghostly reflections on the walls, and she lies down on a soft table, her shimmering hair spread across a smooth surface like molten light pooling in water. The doctors approach slowly with instruments humming, whispering technical words in their native tongues, and they examine her hair, her skin, and even her breath, but every scan returns blank, no sign of known illness, no trace of toxins, no record of alien biology that matches her form. They exchange looks of confusion and concern, their brows furrowed, as if puzzles spread before them without any edges to grab hold of, and for the girl, each passing minute feels like a deeper sentence of helplessness. The machines flicker, as if rejecting her body, as though her presence defies their programming, and the lead doctor steps back, shaking his head, unable to explain why nothing shows, yet she continues to deteriorate without a name for her affliction. When the scans end and the doctors step away, she sits up slowly, the weight in her limbs heavier than before, and the soft glow of her skin dims more as though drained by the failed attempt to find answers. Her father stands nearby, silent, rigid, his heart pounding with fear and frustration, because even the greatest science on earth cannot reveal the secret hiding within his daughter, and the uncertainty spreads around them like a thick fog, hiding every path forward. Though next morning the diplomat rises early with a heaviness that settles into his bones, for the failure of the doctors leaves him with only a thread of hope, and even that thread feels thin and fragile. He walks through the embassy with slow footsteps, passing aides, who bow respectfully, yet watch him with worried eyes, for they sense the growing desperation that clings to him like a shadow. His daughter sits in the common room wrapped in a soft blanket, her glow faint and trembling as she tries to sip warm tea, though her hands shake too much to lift the cup without spilling drops onto the floor. The diplomat kneels beside her and gently steadies the cup, and in that moment an idea forms in his mind, not a grand or scientific idea, but something simple and strangely comforting, a memory of how she once loved having her hair brushed, and how it always eased the tension in her shoulders. He remembers a small earth salon located just outside the embassy district, a humble place with warm lighting and a human hairdresser known for gentle skill and calm presence. Though the thought seems almost foolish compared to the advanced medical care she has already received, the diplomat decides that anything offering even the smallest comfort is worth trying. He helps his daughter to her feet and supports her trembling frame as they walk toward the transport bay, her steps small and shaky but determined. As the transport glides through the city, the girl leans her head against the window and watches the passing streets, her hair shifting faintly and giving off a strange flicker like something restless moving beneath the strands. The diplomat notices this flicker, and a chill brushes his heart, yet he says nothing, afraid to place more fear upon her weary shoulders. They arrive at the small salon where warm light spills through the windows and the quiet hum of dryers and soft music meets them like a gentle welcome, a softness the girl has not felt in a long time. The human hairdresser notices the girl the moment she enters the small salon, for her presence carries a fragile dim glow that stands out against the warm earthly lamps. She approaches with slow, careful steps, sensing that even the slightest sudden movement might startle the already trembling child, and she offers a quiet smile filled with gentle reassurance. As the girl settles into the salon chair, the hairdresser begins to run her fingers lightly through the shimmering strands and immediately feels a strange tension beneath the surface, as if the hair itself resists her touch. The girl flinches ever so slightly each time the hairdresser lifts a section, and the hairdresser feels a subtle vibration, like something alive hiding deep within the roots. Her calm expression never changes, but her mind sharpens with focus, for she realizes there is more here than exhaustion or illness, and that something hidden waits to be found. The hairdresser moves slowly, her fingertips gliding along the glowing strands, with a tenderness shaped by years of practice, yet something beneath the surface pulls at her attention like a whisper rising from deep water. She separates another section of the girl's luminous hair, lifting it toward the light, and she sees a faint ripple travel through the strands, not caused by her hand or the breeze or any natural motion. It is a deliberate twitch, a subtle shift that feels wrong in a way she cannot ignore. The girl stiffens and her small hands grip the armrests of the chair, her dim glow fluttering as though reacting to the invisible presence hidden near her scalp, and the hairdresser feels a pulse of sympathy rise in her chest for the child who has been living with this silent torment. She leans closer, peering past the outer layers of shimmering hair into the darker roots, where the glow fades into an almost shadowed hue that flickers like a dying ember, and for the briefest moment, she sees it something tiny, something coiled, something that withdraws deeper as if sensing her attention. The hairdresser keeps her voice soft and steady as she asks the girl to take a slow breath and relax. Though she knows relaxation is nearly impossible when fear presses so closely against the edge of awareness, she lifts more hair, exposing the hidden area inch by inch until a small section of the scalp comes into view, and there she sees a faint movement again, like a thread being tugged. From within the skin itself her heart beats harder, but her hands remain steady, for she understands that panic would only frighten the girl and alert the creature. And she cannot allow either to happen. Not yet. The hairdresser motions gently for the diplomat to come closer, without alarming his daughter, and he steps forward, his expression tightening as he sees the intensity in the hairdresser's eyes. She parts the hair once more, revealing a clearer view, deep in the roots where something long and slender clings to the base of a glowing strand, as if feeding on the light that once flowed freely from the child. The creature curls tightly, trying to hide its shifting form within the hair, and the hairdresser feels a cold tremor slide down her spine, for she realizes this thing has lived here unnoticed for years, drawing strength from the girl and leaving her weaker each day. But she does not step back, she does not hesitate. She breathes slowly and moves her fingers with purpose, knowing that she has discovered the source of the girl's suffering, and that whatever happens next will decide whether the child finds freedom or continues to fade in silence. The hairdresser signals to the diplomat, and he steps closer, his eyes wide with fear and disbelief, for he has never seen anything like this before, and he instinctively reaches out to steady his daughter. The girl tenses in the chair, her small body trembling as the hairdresser keeps her hands steady and calm. She speaks, softly telling the girl that she will not hurt her and that everything will be all right if she trusts them with careful precision. The hairdresser begins to work the hair around the hidden creature, using slow movements to separate it from the glowing strands. She keeps her fingers firm but gentle, avoiding any sudden tug that might alarm the child or the creature. The girl watches silently, her breath shallow, as the creature shifts beneath the fingers, moving against her scalp, trying to cling tighter to the roots that have sustained it for years. The diplomat holds her other hand, whispering reassurances that sound almost like prayers in a language only they understand, as the hairdresser continues her careful work inch by inch. Finally, after a tense moment that feels like an eternity, the creature is freed from the glowing strands and lifted away by the hairdresser. It curls in her hands like a living shadow, withdrawing from the light. The girl gasps, and a warmth spreads through her chest as the pressure and the ache she has carried for so long begins to dissolve, and the flickering dim glow of her skin steadies into a soft, steady radiance. The diplomat kneels beside her, embracing her gently, and for the first time in years, she allows herself to relax completely, letting the fear drain away with the creature that has haunted her hidden under the roots of her hair. The hairdresser watches quietly, knowing that she has done more than remove a parasite. She has given a child back her life and restored a light that was almost lost forever. The moment the creature leaves the girl's body, a wave of warmth flows through her chest and she gasps, drawing in a breath that feels like sunlight after a long storm. Her glow returns slowly, at first flickering like a candle being relit, then spreading steadily across her skin, illuminating the strands of her hair with vibrant, shifting colors that had been absent for so long. She sits in the salon chair, trembling but smiling, a wide, unguarded smile that reaches her eyes and makes them sparkle with a brightness her father had not seen for years. The diplomat kneels beside her, pulling her close, wrapping his arms around her, and whispering words of relief and gratitude that have no need for sound, for they flow from his heart in every gesture and every gentle squeeze. The hairdresser watches quietly, her hands still resting lightly on the glowing strands of the girl's hair, knowing that her careful touch has not only freed the child from the hidden creature, but has restored her very essence. The air in the salon feels different, warm and alive, as if the light from the girl has begun to seep into the room itself, touching everything. It falls upon the girl, lifts her hands to her hair, letting her fingers run through it, marveling at the feeling of freedom, at the absence of pressure, and the return of strength that she thought had been lost forever. Her laughter bubbles quietly as she leans back, and the diplomat smiles, finally allowing himself to release the tension he had carried for so long. The hairdresser smiles too, knowing that some acts of care cannot be measured by science alone, for sometimes healing requires patience, gentleness, and the courage to see what others cannot. The diplomat stands speechless for the first time in many years, watching his daughter rise from the salon, chair, her glow radiant and steady, and her small hands moving freely through the shimmering strands of her hair. He realizes, in that moment, that no scientist, no doctor, and no advanced machine could have done what the human hairdresser has accomplished. With quiet patience and careful attention, the girl steps toward him, her steps strong and confident. For the first time in what feels like forever, and she wraps her arms around his neck, allowing him to hold her close and feel the warmth that has returned to her body and spirit. Tears fill his eyes as he whispers gratitude over and over in a language of emotion that needs no translation, for it flows from his heart directly into hers. The hairdresser stands to the side watching the reunion, her face calm, yet glowing with satisfaction, for she knows that she has witnessed the turning of a life from suffering to hope. The girl laughs softly, her voice like music in the room, and she looks at the hairdresser with wide eyes filled with wonder and trust and gratitude for it. Was this gentle human, who saw what others could not? The diplomat finally straightens and nods deeply in respect, acknowledging the hairdresser as someone who has forever altered the course of their lives. As they leave the salon together, the girl, walking beside her father, her glow steady and bright, the hairdresser watches them go, knowing that the invisible bonds of care and courage are stronger than any darkness or hidden threat. The city outside seems warmer, somehow brighter and alive with possibilities, as if it senses the light of a child freed from silence, suffering, and the story of quiet bravery that changed everything.